Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, I have my co-host, Barbara. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm here.
Hi, and I have my other co-host, Kelly. Are you there, Kelly?
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Now, Kelly,
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
being we have a lot of guests today, why don't you introduce everybody? Because you seem to know them
All
better.
right. Thank you. We have 19TilDawn, and they are primarily out of Battle Creek, Michigan, but they are also kind of spread out through Michigan. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We have 3 out of 4 of the band members here right now, and may end up having the 4th one join us. So take it away, guys. Introduce yourselves one at a time, hopefully.
All right. Well, my name is Jason Hiaeshutter. I sing. I'm a vocalist.
Hi, Jason.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. Chris, drummer.
My name is Zakk, and I play bass and sing backup.
Great.
Awesome,
We're so
you
happy to
guys.
have you guys here. How exciting. We've never
Yeah,
great.
interviewed. We've never had a rock band on Life, Laughter, Happiness, so this is new for us, and it's really fun.
Cool.
Thanks for
Glad to be
coming
the
on.
first.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah,
So
I had
why
the
don't you
honor
start
of
by
being
explaining
guest.
the name? Why don't you start by
Oh,
explaining
yes,
the
Johnny.
name?
Johnny's asking, why did you name your band 19 Till Dawn?
All right. Well, we've been asked this question so many times, and it really is a very boring story. Really, it just it comes down to I was at an Avenged Sevenfold concert, and I had just formed the band. We literally maybe had 2 or 3 practices so far. We didn't have a name, and I was actually with a friend of mine, Brian Mason, who I'm guessing is going to be joining us a little bit later. But I was at an Avenged Sevenfold concert with him, and they had their little I don't know what you call those. Their canopies or whatever that had like the A7X, which stood for the Avenged 7, and then X meant fold. And I thought, okay, that's really cool. I need to come up with something that I could put on 3 banners like that. So what could I do? And I started with the number 19 because I was reading a lot of Stephen King at the time, and a central number in the Stephen King universe is the number 19. And I just kind of felt that 19 meant like you're counting down from something or you're waiting for something. So what should it be? And it just came up with maybe we're waiting until dawn. So 19 till dawn, and that's what stuck. So
I
I
like
think it was going to be 19
Catchy.
to dawn. It was going to be 19 to dawn at first, and then the letters were going to be the letter N, and then the number 2, and then the letter D. But nobody liked the idea of spelling out 19. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Oh.
Why was signed the number 19 with Stephen King? I never heard that.
it's from the dark. It's really central in the Dark Tower series.
Oh.
So the number 19 is kind of like a central number in the universe, so it comes up a lot, and you start to recognize the signs where the number 19 mathematically fits in so many different elements of the universe, and that's where it comes from. At least in Stephen King science, it does.
Oh, that's cool. My mom probably read all those books, so she would probably have gotten that reference then. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you guys really like Stephen King's book?
I honestly never did. I thought that for the longest time I thought that his stuff was just a little bit too detailed and he was very wordy. But the Dark Tower was so different from that. So I started reading the Dark Tower. It's another thing that my friend Brian gave me and said, hey, you need to read these. And I was like, I don't like Stephen King. But he was like, no, you have to read them. So I started reading them, and I got hooked. And then I started to realize that so much of his other work, he kind of loosely ties into everything. So then I started reading all of his other stuff too. And once I related all to fitting in with the Dark Tower, then it kind of blew my mind.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So you guys share a lot of the same kind of interests, and you guys are really close friends, and he comes to your rock shows. And how long have you guys been friends?
Me and Brian specifically?
Yeah. Yeah.
Since 9th grade. So
that's so cool.
it's like 1990, I think. We've been since around 1989, 1990, somewhere in there.
So it's really nice to have friends that you've had forever that just care about what you do and support you and watch you grow and vice versa. Wow. And then Kelly just got to meet all of you at the, how do you say it, Lollapalooza event?
Yeah, we argue about that too. What is it, Leela or Lila? One of those two.
Right.
Yeah,
that's really great. How long have you guys been together as a band?
The band got started. We're on, I think, our third or fourth lineup now. We got started in somewhere around 2010, I think. And
what do you mean by lineup? Different guys in the band?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yep. It started out as a 3-piece with me and 2 other guys who neither one of they're both no longer in the band, but we had them, and then I was playing drums and singing, and then we had another bass player, another guitar player, and then we ended up adding another drummer and another guitarist, and then it became a 5-piece. And then we wrote a bunch of songs, and lost a couple people, got a couple more. We started playing out, and then we had a drummer quit, and then shortly after that, like around 2012, I think. Is that right, Chris? When you started around 2011, 2012, somewhere in there?
2013.
Okay, so 2013. Chris was with us, and Zakk is actually Chris's nephew, and he was a drummer too. He came to one of the first practices that Chris went to when he first joined up the band. And I think, Zakk, what were you, about like 12, 11, 12, 13 or something?
Yeah, like somewhere in there.
So
I think it was 12.
So he was a drummer, and then he saw us play, and I guess he liked our bass player at the time, a guy named Joe Hoyt, and he went home and asked his mom for a bass, like right then and there, and started learning the bass on his own, and he ended up, I think, surpassing all of us as musicians. So he's an incredible instrumentalist now.
Well, you guys were definitely an inspiration, obviously, for him. That he watched the practice, he went home, got a bass, and he taught himself, and now he's in the band. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Hey, talk about manifesting.
Thank you.
How did you do that? You just really wanted to be a musician, or you really loved this band? How did that happen?
I had always played drums since I was probably like 10 or 11, and then I don't know what happened. Like I went to that practice that day, and I saw a bass, and then I just started messing with it, and I don't know, it was just like the sound of it, the feeling, the fact that it, like a guitar or a drum set or something like that can just, like, you can't really feel it, you know what I mean? You can just hear it. But bass it just called to me. I don't know what it was. Like, I never consciously wanted to be a bass player. It was just like, it was just meant to be.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that story. That is really, that's pretty amazing story, don't you think, you guys? I mean, that's like manifesting, but without even trying.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like it just kind of came to you.
Yeah,
I definitely feel that.
That was meant to be.
You know what? I think of, you know how everybody's dreamed, you know, most people dream of being rock stars. You just kind of imagine it, and you either have that kind of talent or you don't. And I always thought I would love to be a drummer. I always imagined myself being the drummer.
Nice. I like it.
What's stopping
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of things, you guys. Okay. I think that it's not like something I really, really want to do. It's kind of like a dream that it's fun to dream about, but not something that, oh, geez, I wish. But if my mother would have got me a drum set instead of a flute, who knows? Maybe I'd be a drummer right now.
Never too late.
What about you, Kelly?
Hey.
Kelly, have you ever dreamt of being in a rock band?
It's never too
Oh my
late.
God. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I wanted
think
to be a
everybody
marine
has.
biologist, a doctor, and a rock star. Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Johnny?
Oh, I don't. I'm musically challenged, but I mean, I you know, I don't have anything wrong with people who do though, but I don't have any talent for music at all. I mean, it's I have the only thing about music is I've often wondered if if it was possible for the maybe I don't know. Is it possible for Dolly Parton to announce Cooper to sing a duet or something? That's the only thing I can think of more than music. But
That'd be interesting.
that's about it.
But Johnny, have you ever dreamt of being a rock star?
No.
Really?
Wow,
Not even
really?
ever once thought of it? I mean, come on. Never ever
No.
dreamt of yourself on stage. Really?
No.
Wow.
You should give that a shot.
I know it's bizarre, but yeah.
Well, everybody's got something different. For somebody, it might be a rock star. For somebody, it might be a movie star or a basketball star or who knows what.
Right.
There's always something though.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was going to be
all.
all of it.
Oh yeah. Big dreamer.
Yep. I was going to be a rock star who works in movies, who also is an undercover detective on the side down in Miami.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
I was going to be all of it.
Files. I love Rockford Files. Maybe you like the Miami Vice.
I was Sonny Crockett. Yeah, I was Sonny Crockett.
I knew it. I knew you would say that. Oh, that's so cute. Well, for the listeners, you guys, I wanted you guys to tell us a little bit about what kind of music you play, what genre, and how do you write your songs, and just a few things about it, because our listeners, they'd like to know.
Well, Chris and I like to argue back and forth about what genre we are. I consider us to be hard rock. Generally, we get put into the metal category and the thrash category. I don't think if it was 1985 or 1986, I would call us metal. But what the definition of metal is today, I don't think we're that. I think we're just a little bit below that. I think we're a hard thrashing rock band, and we get up on stage and we project the energy of the music that we do out on stage, and it's in a way that, to me personally, the songs still have a message, the music still has a message, and I have something to say with my lyrics, and I want them to be understood, and that's
How do you
that's
describe the metal today? So I know what you're talking about as far as like what's the difference between rock band and hard rock band and a metal band description. So I know are you harder than rock? Are you not?
No,
I
think we're definitely harder than rock. But we're not as hard as a lot of metal that's out there today. Is very, the reason that I have this argument at all is because if we get put on a bill with a band that's considered a metal band, and their fans have not heard of us, and they go to the show and we go out and play, Chris has made the joke a million times. Okay, we're the country band of the night because we're just not at that level of heaviness that the other metal bands are, and I like that. I like being right in that middle ground. I feel like we're in the threshold area of we're somewhere in between. If a lot of bands, because when I was a kid growing up, was Megadeth and Metallica were considered heavy metal. Well, now today, they're considered lighter than a lot of the metal that's out there today. So
wow, so heavy metal must be really hard.
Was that Zakk that had the area code 77? That area code, I think Zakk was the one that was 757.
Yeah, Zakk is, yeah.
He got disconnected.
Uh-oh. Well, hopefully he'll call back.
Okay.
Can you try to
So
message
that
him,
means
Chris?
I'm listening.
Metal must be very, very hard these days then. It must have evolved since what year did you say? The 80s?
Yeah, well, and I wasn't in that that clique either. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was in high school, I was listening to Queen and Pink Floyd and David Bowie, and before that, I was listening to the Monkees and the Grassroots and stuff like that. So
Yes.
I wasn't anywhere near that stuff. And Chris could probably tell you that the metal, the guttural vocal type of metal, that stuff was probably going around back in the 80s too, but I wasn't anywhere near that because I couldn't speak for that.
Well, do you write your songs together, or is there one that mostly writes the songs?
We do it a couple different ways. If either somebody will come. We're all musicians too. We all play drums. We're all guitarists to some level, to some point. So there's 3 or 4 different ways that we'll write a song. Sometimes for me personally, I've got a little, believe it or not, I've got one of those little Guitar Hero microphones that I plug into a little USB drive in my computer, and I got a Mixcraft program, and I will just sit right there in my office, and I'll write a song beginning to end, all just there in my office with a little Guitar Hero microphone. It's not very high quality at all, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, whatever it does, right? And so how do you do that? I always thought writing a song is just, where do you start? How do you begin?
It depends. I mean, I'll be in bed, and 2:00 in the morning, I'll just spring up in my bed. I'm like, oh my God, I've got a riff in my head. I've got to get it out. And the nice thing about technology today is all I have to do is I can grab my phone and record myself humming what's in my head, and then the next day whenever I get up, I'll play that back, and that'll turn into a song.
And you hum.
I know Gene Simmons.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Gene
say
Simmons.
that again.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I
Gene
know that back in the 80s and 70s, Gene Simmons used to, like when answering machines came out, he used to call his house just so that the answering machine would pick up, and he would hum whatever he had in his head. He would hum it into his answering machine, and then whenever he got home from wherever he was, he would turn that into a song, and that's kind of where I got that idea from.
And yeah, that's like what I was saying, like whatever works, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm in the. That's just one way, and then a lot of times what I'll do is when I do write that stuff down, I'll like maybe get a click track or something, and I'll just play it to that, and then I'll send the stuff over to Chris. And when it's the stuff that I write, Chris usually wants to murder me because I'll send him the stuff, and he'll actually program the drums on software because it's not really, it's a lot different than being able to just grab a guitar and play to some live drums, he's usually listening to the riffs that I make, and then he'll program a drum track to that, and then he'll curse me out for about 2 months.
Wow.
And he'll send me the rest of the track back. He'll program drums on it, and he'll change the title to something very colorful.
It's always good to have a sense of humor.
And then another way we'll do it, for example, Jason Bass, he's our guitar player. When he writes stuff, that's usually I'm in the United States military. I'm in the Air Force. I've been in for about 24 years. And
wow. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 years ago, I was overseas. We had to take a little bit of a break because I got sent to the desert. I was gone for about 6 months. Well, technically, with the different stops that I made, I was gone for about 8 months. So pretty much that entire year was a wash. We couldn't do anything. So what would happen was Jason and Chris would get together, and they were just writing stuff. And they ended up with about, 4 or 5, 6 pieces of music that were written and done. By the time I came home, we almost had a whole other CD ready. But what he would do is they would just record that stuff in our practice space. It just would be Chris on drums and Jason on guitar, and they would flesh it out. And then they would email it to me, and I would listen to it while I was in the desert, and I would put lyrics to it, and then I would send it back. So even though we were a world away from each other, we were still somehow able to get the songs done. So that was nice.
And maybe that worked out even better for
I think
creatives.
it did. I think it ended up being a very good CD, and it was the song title, The Summer of Silence. That's where that comes from. It was the Summer of Silence because I was gone and we couldn't do anything. So we came up with the title of The Summer of Silence, which was originally going to be the name of the album.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
That is a great story too.
Yeah.
It's all these little
yeah.
things like that people don't know that are very interesting facts about, when you're growing as a band, that it's nice to have that put down, and here is your show with us forever, and you can look back and reminisce, because who knows, you might forget these little things, and that's what has made you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
And your fans and our fans and everybody can refer back and be like, hey, remember when 19TilDawn came on? And hey, look into those songs what they're talking about. And I have them, if you ever want me to start playing them in the background, I have it queued up and ready to go. So just let me know.
Oh, sure. Hit something.
All right.
Let's
What
do
are
it.
you going to play?
Well, the first track on the album is Outside the Wire. That's a pretty good one. We that's another one. I mean, you can tell just from the title that was one of the ones that they sent me the music for while I was overseas, and I really just the lyrics came from my surroundings and what I was thinking of and what I was going through at the time. So that's
Can you hear it
we got
okay?
the title Outside
Did
the Wire.
you see some combat? Were you in live combat?
My job was actually, I can't really talk about it too much, but my job was moving people in and out of Iraq.
Wow.
So I was pretty much a glorified travel agent. So what I had to do was get people from where we were at and send them into Iraq, or actually anywhere in the Gulf states. I was dealing with other places other than just Iraq, but the main focus of my unit was to send people to follow on force in Iraq, and then get people back out of there. So I was doing a lot of people swapping for about 6 months.
Did you feel like you were in danger?
No, I got to just send people into danger and say, good luck. Give them a little pat on the back and say, good luck, have a good time. I'm staying here.
Can you guys hear the music okay?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not hearing it.
Okay, pretty neat.
Yeah, it's probably kind of tough to get that going over a telephone, over phone lines.
Are you hearing? I mean, I put it by the speaker, and I didn't want to have it like drown out you guys talking because I need to hear you guys too. But yeah,
I could not hear
Well,
that
if
at
anybody's interested, we're on Spotify, Pandora, pretty much anywhere
we are
that you can find music. SoundCloud, we're on everything. So.
Oh, great. What is your album? Remember you were saying, okay, your album isn't the name of one of those songs. Tell us the album that you would like us to look for first on, I use Spotify.
Okay. Well, yeah, the album is called The Human Race. We originally were going to call it Summer of Silence. And we had, before we got signed to Rock Avenue Records, we just kind of put everything out ourselves. And we came up with an album cover for Summer of Silence, and we had everything together. There was like a woman, and she had no mouth, and her where her mouth was, it was all stitched shut and all that kind of stuff. And it looked a little bit gory. And when we got signed by the record label, Rock Avenue Records, they said, this really doesn't fit the image that your guys' music represents, and they didn't really think that it was a good choice for a album cover. So we fought for months trying to figure out what we could do for an album cover that fit Summer of Silence, and we couldn't figure it out. And then Chris came up with the thought that all of the songs, all of the subject matter, kind of it's all about the human race. Pretty much every song, it's about being at war, everywhere from being, a war with each other, war with substance abuse, war with yourself. Every song, that was the subject matter. So we kind of thought, okay, well, it's really all about the human race in general. And so we decided to change it and made the album The Human Race, and we came up with a different album cover that fit that. So the whole reason we changed the album name in the first place was because we couldn't get the album cover right for the other one.
Oh, that's interesting.
That seems to work, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Spotify. I'm going to look your album up and listen to it after the show.
Great. That's awesome.
I think I like it.
Okay. Wow. Because I love rock. I don't know about metal, but I know I like hard rock.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you look great in with a t-shirt.
Okay, I would like that too.
Cool. Yeah.
I think it's so fun to meet you guys. It's really fun and amazing. And thank you, Kelly, for having the idea to bring them on.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly.
Who do you idolize?
I think we've all got very different. I mean, I growing up, my biggest hero to this day is Freddie Mercury by far. He was the most incredible all around entertainer that I could ever think of. I don't think anybody's.
I've heard someone say that Freddie, they were doing ranges, and they said that he had more of a range than any other singer in history.
Wow.
Yeah, I think somebody has said he had like a 5 or 6 octave range, which is insane, and that was with no formal training.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean?
I have a question. I have a question. So I saw recently, and I did see the Rolling Stones in concert and met Mick Jagger. It was really, really a great experience. And even back then, okay, this was like 25 years ago, the drummer, he was saying, is that Charlie Watts? He was saying, can you believe that guy up there on stage at his age? And now look at him, 25 years later. I mean, he's still up there. Do you see you guys having longevity like that into your 70s and rocking out on stage?
Well, since we're already pretty close to there now.
Oh, yeah, right. I don't think so. You are not.
Zakk will be bringing us all out in our wheelchairs. Right?
You'll have wheelchair races.
I mean, it's pretty amazing, don't you think? And I just saw Rod Stewart in concert, too, last year for my birthday, and that was amazing how young I think this keeps you guys young doing what you do.
Yeah, it's it keeps you young, and it makes you want to, stay in some level of shape. I like the Who. The Who is another one of my favorite bands, and look at how Roger Daltrey, in his age, he still keeps up his workout regimen. He still stays in shape. He still makes sure that he can give the absolute best performance he can give, and that's admirable. That's what it's about. And if you love going out there and you love performing and you don't want to stop doing it, why would you stop doing it? Especially if there's still people out there that want to see you.
Right. There's no reason to stop. Definitely.
And they're keeping it at a point where they can still do it and they can still keep up. And God, you can take Roger Daltrey is still, or Mick Jagger also. They're still out there. They're still, you get, as soon as they get on stage, that energy just comes right back. And you can see other musicians that came out in the 80s that are less than half their age and still can't keep up that same energy that these guys are having. It's incredible.
I know. Really is. That is wonderful. I love it. And they do work out. They really do. I mean, this is oh my gosh, every day on a tour like that, what a workout that is. You can't just go out there and do that cold. You have to keep in shape. And they were running.
Yeah, absolutely.
I met the whole band. Thanks. And the next day they had the two ladies came to take them all out to go run.
Wow.
We're in Alabama.
Yeah. Wow. What I'm picturing for you guys when you're in your 80s is Chris is going to outfit your scooters with dual exhaust and nitrous.
Very, very probable that'll happen. I like it.
And you'll have flames
in
coming
fact,
off the back.
Chris, why don't we get on that right now?
I got finished.
Yep, you guys will be in the first, class hot rod division of scooters.
I think, to answer the original question there, there's definitely no reason to ever stop doing it. I don't see a time in my life where 19TilDawn won't be out there at some capacity. It's just there's just no reason not to do it. Our families are very supportive. Everybody's very supportive. I mean, if it was one of those things where it's, we're not anything huge. We're not making millions of dollars off of this or anything like that. And if it was a situation that was our family was suffering and, my kids never saw me or something like that, or if I was taken away from something else, that might be a different story. But family is so supportive of all of this, and they're, we've got family at our shows all the time. We've got just nothing but love and support for what we do. And if as long as you've got that, why stop?
Yeah. You guys don't worry about one of you guys getting married and having the band member leave because of that?
No, we just want to do that.
Yeah, if a band member needs to go, then they need to go. I mean, that's the thing about 19TilDawn. We're like the metal Menudo. You know, I mean, if you need to go, if whatever's going on in your personal life is outweighing what's going on with the band, then by all means, you're always with us in spirit. You've always got, this is always a home for you. We're always going to think of you fondly. But if you got to go do your own thing, go. We're going to carry on. We'll find somebody else that wants to jump in, and we'll keep on going. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And any time that a band has hard feelings with each other because somebody quit, I don't understand that, because there's a billion reasons why people just can't do it anymore. But that doesn't mean that everybody else has to stop.
That's true. Yeah, like
that's positive.
Yeah,
that's positive.
And honestly, we just had two members that ended up having to go for personal reasons, and they're still our brothers. You know, I mean, they're still supporting the band. They're still you know, sharing all of our posts and liking everything that we're doing, and they're still, you know, 100% there. They're still 100% our brothers, and that's still just, you know, nothing wrong with that at all.
So that means that you guys are pretty spiritual, because you're positive, you have an outlook, you care about family, they love you. That is a big form of being spiritual, and you have love. That's all about love and letting go and acceptance. So that's what I see. You are a spiritual band, and a lot of people may not even think that about a hard rock band. I don't know what your lyrics are like yet, but you know, they might have they might not perceive you guys as spiritual and loving, because they're like, oh, hard rockers, you know. Do you ever run into that where you're stereotyped?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But that's the difference there. That's the difference between you know, somebody that listens to how we sound on the surface, and then we've got really big fans who really dig into the lyrics and pay attention to what we're saying, and that's what I really enjoy. I love getting into a conversation with a fan that I meet at a show, and they actually are talking to me about, you know, what did you mean by this lyric? What is your message here? And people really want to know, and they want to dig more into what it means, because that's what it's all about for me. It's really all about the message. I'm a writer in general. I've written and published 2 novels. I've got several short stories out, and sometimes I'll even incorporate the music to kind of be a companion to the books that I've written. And everything's got a story, everything's got a message, and I love it when people actually pay attention to that and put those things together.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea. But that's probably a lot of people, no, you know, I have to choose carefully what I read, because I don't read that often, you know what I mean? And I caught that earlier, that you're like, okay, I'll read them. That's great.
Wow. Oh, you had mentioned that you have a movie coming out. What's that about?
Yeah, I also, well, actually, the idea of acting all came in all together. When I first put 19TilDawn together, actually, Kelly's boyfriend, Brian Mason, and I had written a screenplay together, many years ago, probably back in maybe 2004 or 5, somewhere in there. It was a very long time ago, and we never knew what we could do with it. We just to this day, it's just kind of still sitting around collecting dust. But at one point, we were talking about trying to actually shoot it and cast some actors and really do this thing for real. And the first thing we ran into is what kind of music are we going to do for this? And we looked into trying to find licensing to get certain music in there, and you know, bands that were still literally nobodies, like that nobody'd heard of or anything. The rights to get the music was still more expensive than what we wanted to spend. So I kind of thought, well, I'm a musician. I'll write the soundtrack myself. So I just basically found musicians and put a band together just so that I could write a soundtrack to this movie, which I did. It was called Evil We Created. That was our first CD that we released back in 2011 or 12 or something like that. And to this day, the movie never got done. The reason it never got done is because I didn't have the connections. So I started looking into other indie filmmakers, and I started jumping on other people's projects just so that I could learn. And I just started getting involved in producing other people's movies and other people's stuff. So that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. So this current one coming out is a full-length feature called Seth and Tia. Not only did they let us provide some music for it, but they cast me as a lead role. Jason Bass was another role, that a little bit of a smaller part than mine, but he was still featured. And then Chris had a featured part as well as a club owner. So so not only do we have some music in it, we also are all acting in it as well. So that was pretty cool.
Wow, very cool.
And then I had written another song because there's a karaoke scene in the movie where it's they needed a punk song, and the writer Steve Hasse, he ran into the same problem that I ran into 2 years before. He couldn't find music where he could get the rights to, and that's where I started getting with him. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll write you a song. So I wrote him a punk song that really didn't really fit 19TilDawn at the time. And this was before Zakk actually was in the band, but I called, and Chris is always down to play a track with me no matter what it is. So I said, hey, see if your nephew wants to come play this track with us. So before he was in the band, we'd started a little side project just to do this punk song called Teen Sandwich, and we recorded that for the album too. But now that Zakk is officially in the band, we might actually bring that song in and make it a real 19TilDawn track on the next CD. So.
Oh, cool. Cool. Wow. So is this project one that is based on the screenplay that you and Brian wrote, or is this something completely separate?
No, it's something different. Yeah, it's something completely separate. The one that Brian and I wrote is still just kind of sitting on a back burner now. Over the years, I've gotten so involved in other people's projects because it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to jump on and produce somebody else's stuff than to do your own from the ground up. So I guess in a way I can say I've kind of gotten lazy because I really started it as a means to learn the business, but I've gotten so involved in doing other people's work that I'm kind of in that bubble right now. So
well, you have so many creative things that you're already doing from the ground up that just kind of makes sense. I mean, in a way, because, I mean, not to say that you can tap your well dry of all your creative endeavors, because you really can't. I mean, there's no limit to your creativity. It's just, it must be kind of nice, to be able to take, like, a nice little sigh and, to be able to help somebody along with theirs rather than having to always tap into your own all the time.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And that's really part of, like we were talking about earlier about staying young and if you're still in your 80s and still doing the same thing, that's really all what it comes from. It's just all in your soul. If you've got this burning desire to let these creative juices go, you just got to do them. And in any way that you can, any vehicle that you can, just get that stuff out there. You know what I mean? If we were talking before about wanting to play drums. If that was ever a burning thing inside of you, then just do it. If Jonathan was saying that he didn't think he had any musical talent, I'm telling you, if you love music, then you can play music, and you just go out there, and it doesn't matter if it's something that is the next catchy big #1 hit somewhere. I mean, you pick up that guitar, or if you get behind those drums and you make that sound and you feel it in your body, then that's really what's important. I mean, you just feel that chill, like what Zakk was talking about earlier, the first time he played that bass and he actually felt it all through his body. That's what it's all about. If you've got that outlet, then just hang on to it forever. Because once you stop
I
doing it
agree.
and you let that stuff just bottle up, then you know, that's when things start going bad in your life. But if you got that outlet, and you got that ability to let that stuff out, then that's the greatest thing in the world.
I know, it must be the best feeling.
Yeah, I noticed that, like, when I stopped playing music for a while, or when I stopped doing sculpting or painting or whatever, or writing, it was just like, you know, sometimes I stopped because it was bringing up too painful of feelings for a while. But then it was like, once I was able to do it again, and then I put it on the back burner, it was like, ouch, you know, I needed to do it. And then even if it was just, you know, fool around and sing and, you know, play music with my dad and his friends and his girlfriend, you know, they play Beatles music and Rolling Stones and stuff like that. Like, you know, they'll sing and they have the sheet music and they have their keyboard and guitars and, you know, just percussion and stuff like that. Just getting along, you know, getting together with them and doing that. That's very therapeutic and fun.
Oh, absolutely.
And just, you know, it's something I miss, and that's something I need to get back to doing.
Well, you will after this.
What?
Don't you think that everything can be an inspiration? Just this interview, you know, can just touch somebody in ways that we can't even imagine. So, like Kelly
absolutely.
just said, you know, yeah. And I have always missed, you know, being in a band too, but she really misses it. So, and you have all these people around you now, Kelly. I mean, it's very inspirational having this rock band as your friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm tossing around the idea of writing a screenplay myself of, remember we had, well, the band members aren't going to remember, but you guys remember having Chris Newland on before the story hit the M Live papers about the contamination of PFAS in Michigan. And I want to write a screenplay about the different perspectives, like the farmers realizing, you know, now that the story is hitting and there's more testing being done, that, oh no, their family farms might be affected. Now what do they do? Because they're going to want to know, but also it can totally affect everything, you know, that they've been working hard for. Like, what do they do to get rid of it? And, you know, the government, like, they don't want to have, like, a panic. And how do they get rid of it? And, you know, the waterways and the Great Lakes and, you know, how far is this contamination? And, you know, the regular people that are having multi-generational, like, cancer clusters and, you know, like having all these different health issues just concentrated in these areas, and it's not something that you can see or taste or smell or whatever, but it's there getting into our food and soil, and now they're starting to test and find it out. And that's something that I want to do and work with Chris Newland on, and he's wanting to, but I'm not sure how, you know, to get started with, like, getting, you know, actors to reenact things and getting cameras and crew and stuff like that. So I'm researching it, but it sounds like you guys would know how to point me in the right direction, maybe.
Yeah,
like,
for
wow,
sure. Yeah.
Interesting how this works. So thank you. That would be amazing. I guess I need to write it first, but that would be a good step.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But
sometimes even the concept is enough to get, if you find a couple of producers, and a lot of indie movie houses. There's actually a lot in Michigan. If you really look into it a little bit, there's a lot of indie production houses out there right now in Michigan. And sometimes all it takes is just give that initial concept out, and they'll find a writer.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Yeah, because I really feel that this is important, and we need to get that out there so that we can have nationwide testing. And if there's enough voices that are heard, then we can find a solution. Because a lot of the corporations, yeah, a lot of the corporations that were dumping pre-EPA era, which was like 1970s, a lot of them have moved or don't exist, or they lobby so that they can get out of having to do the cleanup. I mean, they knew that it was bad, but it wasn't regulated, so they figured nobody would know. But there are witnesses that were kids watching them dump the stuff on property lines. And so, there was a big cover-up, and then the stuff got turned into compost and shipped out, and, it's in water and schools and, daycares and everywhere. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 articles now that are out finally. And Chris had been, he was going to be featured on Fox News and things like that last year. And then they've been advertising for a week, and then all of a sudden it got pulled, and nobody could tell him why. And then, nobody would carry the story until there was a conference in Boston, and it had gotten brought up, his research. And then it got, the word got out, and then, MLive, basically had to take the story, and, that's when it got published. So it took having to go out of state. And he was on vacation and learned about it. So, yeah, it's important, and it can't be just a Michigan thing. But, the rivers, there's certain rivers that were contaminated with, a shoe factory and paper companies and different things, and then those run into other rivers, and then those go into Lake Michigan, and, a lot of, states, and not just the United States, but Canada depend on the Great Lakes, and, it's not just a little, this got dumped in this spot, it's different companies were doing it. And it spreads. So,
it's funny, sometimes you have to get so creative. You have to really get creative to get people to listen to a story that not everybody wants to listen to or admit to or wants to keep covered up for whatever reason.
Yeah, and then you have to kind of worry about, sometimes people, if they are heard, they disappear. So it's kind of but, but it's important enough that people need to know.
Zakk even, it's one of the things Zakk did. He wrote a song about because he lives down in Clio, so he's over by Flint. So the Flint water thing that was going on was a really big deal for him. So he wrote a song about that.
Oh, that's cool. Wow, is that on your album?
No, that was one of his solo projects that he did. I would have any problem playing it with him though, but I think he wants to go forward, not always go back. So he's ready to write some new stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think reaching the younger people is a big thing, because younger people, from when I've talked to people in the psychology field, the younger people are getting cancer and different autoimmune things at an alarming rate. They're also having a lot of miscarriages and things like that are being linked to the PFAS. There are kids getting cancer, whereas when you and I and Barbara and Jonathan and Chris were growing up, people were not, there weren't that many people that we knew of in our class or having just graduated that got cancer. not very many people's parents were getting cancer. Now there's a lot of kids that have cancer, and a lot of kids are losing parents before they graduate high school from cancer. And it's like, there's something happening.
There's definitely a scary C word, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, the younger people are definitely more aware, and they want to do something about it. So, they are a good audience for change, and that's good.
For sure.
Yeah. So, what would be, like, for you, what would be a good message that somebody, like, if they are deeply listening to your music and deeply following you, what would be a good message that you hope that they would take away from that experience?
For me personally, the album, like I said before, it's about inner struggle. It's about battling the demons around you and the demons within you. We talk about substance abuse. We talk about suicidal thoughts. We talk about how just society in general seems to want to turn on each other all the time, but we really should be coming together instead and realizing that we're all on the same planet together, and there's no reason for us to fight amongst ourselves the way that we do. And a lot of times we're really not fighting amongst ourselves as much as the media wants us to believe. It's not what the picture that they want to paint. It's not always like that. And if you open your eyes and look around, not everybody hates you. Not everybody hates me. We're not all against each other. And there's no reason to pretend that we are, to boost somebody else's political agenda. And then, and it's also about, I'll use the word millennial, the millennial generation, the kind of idea that they're all lazy and we're all not. We've got a song that really touches on the base that everything that my kids are saying to me that I think is so, shut up, you're a kid, you don't know anything. Well, when I was a kid, I was saying the exact same thing to my parents too, and it's just history just keeps on repeating itself. And that's in a nutshell what all of our tracks are about.
Would you say that your time in the Air Force and being in different places in the world has helped broaden your scope and be able to see things maybe a little differently than if you had stayed in one part of the world?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've worked with so many different cultures. I've worked with such a diverse amount of people and seen so many different ways of life and so many different thought processes. So, yeah, I definitely do feel that way.
Okay, that makes sense. And you'd say, like, even with all those cultures and thought processes and different ways of doing things, we're more similar than we are different. Is that right?
I think
I mean,
sometimes.
We have
I guess it depends on.
Yeah. We have
yeah.
the same basic needs and the same need for love and understanding and, things like that. Even if we go about things a little different.
Yeah. That's a little bit tougher to answer because depending on there's some categories in there that I don't really want to get into. But, yeah, in general, I think everybody's got the same basic needs and wants and dreams and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I've done a lot of traveling and a lot of like cultural things, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of different ways of going about things and looking at them, but I've noticed a lot of commonalities, and just like here, there's a lot of different ways to go about things, and not all of them I agree with, but I'm not gonna say like somebody's bad. It's just that they're on a different path. So, and they grew up differently, or they see things differently, which, if we're all the same, it would be boring. So.
There have been plenty of times I've seen. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say we're about out of time, but you can finish what you were saying. What were you saying?
I was just going to say. I was just going to say that it is funny how sometimes you'll see. In Facebook is a huge culprit of this. I feel like this is there's some really unnecessarily fights on Facebook all the time, and a lot of times you'll notice if you really objectively look at some of these arguments, there'll be two people fighting, and they don't realize they're on the exact same side, and they're both making the same point, but they're so busy wanting to fight about it that they're not listening to each other, and they're literally both saying the same thing and making the same argument, but they continue fighting anyway. That's the weirdest thing to me when I see that happen.
Yeah. When you step outside and you look at it objectively, you're going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, well, it's been great getting to know you guys better, and I hope that we can have you on again, because you guys are awesome. And thank you
very
for
much.
coming on.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes. Can't wait to listen. Thanks for coming on, guys. Good luck in
your
future. We can't wait to have you back.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just would like to say real quick, if you are going to look us up, 19TilDawn, it's one word in the LTIL, just one L. If you spell it any differently than that, it's hard to find us for some reason. I don't know if the Google algorithms don't, I don't know, they don't talk to each other. But if you put any spaces in our name or have two L's, or if you spell out 19 or any of that stuff, you're not going to find us. So it's 19TilDawn, no spaces, and one L. And you can find us on Pandora, Spotify. We're 19TilDawn.com. We got our own website. Look us up.
Yeah,
find us on
okay,
Facebook and tell us what you think of us.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We will.
All
Good
right.
night.
Awesome.